Hey everyone, this is CD. I'm down here, Central Florida. So I am in zone 9B. Um, and so today I'm going to be doing a garden tour video. So I watch a lot of these online. And so if you're interested in topics of organic gardening or permaculture, food forests, edible landscapes, that's kind of my thing as well. And so I've got a lot of tips off of the videos I've been watching. And so I just thought I'd share what I've got going so far, and I'm hoping to get for the experts out there, if you can comment on anything you see, looking to improve wherever possible. So yeah, just wanted to share what I got going. So I've been in this house for about 5 years, and it was a foreclosure, so I spent a lot of time indoors getting everything the way I wanted it. But over the last couple of years, been able to get outside and started to get some things going as far as my garden. So we're getting there. But anyhow, so I just want to show you what I have. I figured maybe I'd do a video once a year and just show my progress and what I have. So this is my front yard, and it's really my wife's domain. It's got a lot of ornamentals, so you can see the crepe myrtles there. We got caladiums and camellias, and on the far side over there we have some mature azaleas. This whole yard is, you can see, got the mature oaks. And I've been able to use that to my advantage. So I'll show you some of that later on. But this area here was actually very thick, overgrown. It's pretty much like just a wild area. And so I cleaned it up. Put some holly bushes here on the side, and they're supposed to make a good hedge at some point. I got gardenia for my wife, but anyway, so when we're cleaning it out, we noticed this shrub right here, and it's kind of ornamental looking. We didn't know what it was, but we kept it, and just went ahead and cleaned the area up. So one day I'm mowing under this shrub, and I look up and I'm like, whoa, that's a Suriname cherry, because it was loaded with Suriname cherries. And so that was I think that was late spring. And really enjoyed eating the fruit off of that. And actually, I think it must produce multiple times. I got 2 on here now, so for those that don't know what a Suriname cherry is, that's an almost ripe one. It's supposed to get red. Actually, there's one right there. That's Suriname cherry. So I'll be back for those later, or at least the ripe one. I'll eat that one later. So Suriname cherry, tropical fruited, very good taste. Only thing is, I don't really like the skin, so I'll bite halfway into it, bite down to the seed, and then I'll just pinch the skin off and eat the flesh. And it's super good. Just they say that the skin's not supposed to taste bad, I guess, once it gets ripe, but I don't know. It seems to always have a taste to me. So, but yeah, that's really good. So that's Suriname cherry, and again, that was kind of a little surprise. I didn't have to plant this one. And the only other edible that I have in the front yard here is, so it's not looking too happy right now. So this is apparently a mini guava. So I was at a friend's house. The kids were outside playing hide and seek, and my 2-year-old wanted to go play. And of course I had to go out there with him, because I didn't want him out on the street, hiding. So we're out there playing hide and seek, and I noticed this shrub had these little green fruit on it. And so I asked the boys, I'm like, what is that? And they were like, that's a mini guava. And I'm like, well, do you eat it? And they were like, no, my grandma makes jam out of it. So yeah, I've never seen one, because I have a guava, but the leaves don't really look like that. It has a different texture to them. This one's obviously not looking too happy right now. It's been in the ground for a couple weeks now. I think it's going to take. There's one behind it. It had some issues on the bark, so I don't think it was going to take. But when I saw the tree that day, I got permission, and there was a limb that had grown into the ground and rooted. So I just broke that off, and so that's what I got in the ground. And I actually have some starts in the back as well. So I'm thinking this one will take right here. Like I said, it's been in the ground for several weeks here. This has roots on it, and it's probably just because it's a hot day. So so what you see that I'm working with on the ground here So I am into the, got inspired by the Back to Eden method that Paul Gauchi talks about in the documentary done on him. If you look up YouTube Back to Eden method, you'll find his approach to gardening, and he's a good Christian man. He felt like God was showing him how in nature you can look at a forest and it produces all on its own. It has abundance, and so he just felt like God was showing him how he created that abundance with nobody to take care of it. And if you go into a forest, you look and it has a layer of organic material on the ground, that mulch layer, and so that mulch layer feeds worms and bugs and microbiology that breaks down that organic layer and feeds the soil. That soil feeds the plants, and so that's what I do. I make sure I have mulch. Not everywhere. I still got to put some mulch down, so everything's a work in progress. But this mulch here, this is actually from, if you live in the Hillsborough County area, you can go to Falkenberg Road and go to the burn plant. They have the yard waste that they process. You can load up your as much as you want for free. It's just you have to load it yourself. They're not going to dump it in there for you. So I've timed it. It takes me about 45 minutes to fill my bed of my truck, overflowing. I'll have it mounted up. So just make sure you take a tarp so you can have something to cover it and keep it in your vehicle. But yeah, I've taken advantage of that, and I also have a chipper, so I actually don't even really throw out yard waste too often. I'll chip it up, or if it's big enough, we'll burn it in the wintertime in our fireplace, or when we have a fire outside. Anyways, I'm going to head out to my backyard, and this is more where I have a lot more edibles. And so over here, this is my this is kind of a fun little area for me. It's like a little mini food forest. There's not really much order. I just like to put things wherever, and kind of like the survival of the fittest. Just see, which one, what thrives in here. But as you can see, what's popping out right now is the Cranberry Hibiscus. If you're not familiar with that, so it has an edible leaf on it. It actually has a very good taste to it, kind of a sweet taste. And then it has I guess it's a seed pod that you can make drinks, tea, or like a sweetened drink. I haven't taken advantage of that yet, so but I gotta probably trim some of this back. I kind of let this area go and just kind of let it do its own thing, but I'll probably kind of cut back the Cranberry Hibiscus. So down here you might notice I got some blueberries in here, like 4 varieties. So yeah, just they're fairly new, so we'll see how productive they are, how well they like this area, and they seem to be doing okay. I've gotten a lot of good foliage out of these, and these two are very just planted them a couple months ago, so I think they're liking the area okay. And but the one thing with your mulch, so I did kill a pink lemonade blueberry, so that one's right here. I was really looking forward to it because it's a pink blueberry variety. Supposed to have a good taste to it, but I think I may have had too much mulch around it, which I knew better than that. When you have too much mulch around your stem or your trunk of your plant, you can hold that moisture against it, and can cause problems. So you want to make sure you have that mulch pulled back if you are using mulch, and just plant it above you kind of make a mound. So all right, so we'll move on back here. So I have a little papaya there. So I had a bunch of papaya seeds. I don't think they dried properly because it kind of got mildewy. But I planted a bunch of them, but this is the only guy that seemed to survive here. I need to give him some more sunlight. So papaya, that for men, it's good for your prostate, so start growing some papaya. And if you haven't had it, it's got like a mild sweetness, kind of a honey taste to it. So I know some people will like mix it in and make a shake out of it. So we'll just move on to the back here and we'll work our way up. So over here. So this right here is a Mysore Raspberry. So I said earlier I'm in Zone 9B, so that's the subtropics. Um, and typically tropics, subtropics, raspberries aren't, something you're going to grow. But this is a Mysore Raspberry, which is, I guess it's from Thailand. Um, and I planted it this year, so it has a lot of foliage. It's been doing really good. I think I got 3 of them in here. And thing is so I'm from Ohio, where we used to eat wild raspberries. Like you couldn't beat those, and they're really abundant and produced a lot. This produced a couple berries that I've eaten, and actually you can see where it's trying to produce right here. And the ones I did eat, they didn't really taste that good. So this has a ton of thorns on it, so I'm not sure, if it's something I'll keep or not, but just wanted to try it out. It'll grow, but if you have any tips on, getting Mysore raspberries to be more productive, just let me know. So down here, you notice I got some pineapples. So with my pineapples, anytime we have a pineapple that we get from the store, I cut the top off and I'll plant it. The one thing I have to do is I have to plant it on my porch first, because if I plant it outside, it still has fruit in it, so the raccoons will run off with the pineapple top. So I plant it on the porch, let the fruit rot off of it, and then I'll move it outside. And as long as they're getting water, the pineapple tops, they'll root. They root fairly easily. They're really resilient. Even if they look almost dead, you put them in the ground, make sure they're getting water, they kind of come back. So I just kind of throw them. I mean, like I said, I never get rid of a pineapple top, so I've got a lot of these all over the yard. And I actually just picked a pineapple last night, so I'll take the pineapple top off that and keep it going. So here, so this is my my pomegranate. So pomegranate's a desert plant. So I bought it off of eBay. It was like it was like 6 inches tall when I got it, and it was came in a plastic cup. The roots are wrapped in like wet newspaper. And so I lived in my old house, and I had a small yard there, so I didn't want to put it in the ground, so I put it in a pot, and it shot right up. It did really well. I got one pomegranate off of it. Yeah, it's a desert plant. It doesn't really like the humidity. So I hear there's a variety called Afghansky that will produce in the humidity. So when I run across one, I'll definitely want to buy it, because I do like pomegranate. One interesting thing about this pomegranate, so when I moved here, like I said, I was in my house working, getting it squared away. And so it was neglected in a pot, and so it went through some dry spells. All the leaves fell off, the stems started rotting away, and I just thought the thing was dead. And for some reason I decided to put it in the ground, and it came right back to life. So it's got some mentions in the Bible, so I guess it's truly like a biblical plant, because it seems to have the ability to resurrect. So kind of a neat little fact about this this pineapple here. I mean, pomegranate, excuse me. Let's see. So this is another eBay find. So I kind of went through this phase where I was buying interesting sounding plants off of eBay. So this is a miniature Barbados Cherry. And so I got, this will actually produce a couple times a year, and this is what it produces. So this is or not a miniature, it's a dwarf. So I've seen the regular ones before. I didn't know what I was buying when I bought this. I would have probably just bought a regular one, because I hear they taste pretty good and everything. But this dwarf, it has a very mild sweetness to it, and so I guess the value that it brings is that Barbados cherries are very high in vitamin C. It's like, I guess it's beats out citrus. I'm not sure the numbers, but it's supposed to be very high, have a very high concentration of vitamin C. So I'll come out here and get a handful of these. Once they ripen up, it'll turn bright red. I'll get a handful of them and just chew on them. They have a lot of seed to them, so Again, it's more for the vitamin C that you know. But I do like this plant. It looks very ornamental when it's covered. You have the right conditions, it'll produce tons of cherries. Um, the it, it produced heavily like early, or late spring, and then it'll keep producing if the conditions are right. We've had some, typically in Florida we'll have a rainy summer, but we've had some breaks in the rain, so it wasn't as productive in its second production of cherries. So so this right here is a mango. So I was on a quest for yams. I had read about yams and was just curious because I hear that it's a plant you throw on the ground, and you just walk away and come back in several months, and you have this starch, that you can, like a potato. And so I was just curious, what do they taste like and everything. So I got on Craigslist, a Jamaican gentleman, and so he sold me a yam, and so I found out why we eat potatoes versus yams, because the yam didn't taste good. It was a purple yam. I've heard brown yams, I guess, are better, or white or whatever. So maybe I'll just need to give it a second try. If you have any good yam recipes, maybe to make my purple yam taste better, because I still have them growing, just throw a comment in there. But anyway, so I was at his house, and I'd bought the yam, and he had had this little 6-inch mango, and he called it a pineapple mango. And I hadn't seen that variety before. I was kind of looking online and didn't see that variety, but it was from seed, so it can't be a true, if there's a such thing as a pineapple mango, it couldn't be a true pineapple mango because it's from seed. It's not a graft. But 6 inches tall, put it in the ground, exposed to the sun, and this thing just shot right up. It's done really well. Just really proud of this tree, because it had such a small size, and it's kind of shot up. But we're looking forward to seeing, if it's productive. If it's not, I have mature rootstock. I'll be able to just cut it back and then graft into it. Find a good variety and graft into it. So yeah, either way, I don't think this is a loss. And another possibility is if I cut it back, it's got a nice straight trunk. Mango wood is good for woodworking. It's supposed to have a quality about it. Its grain and stuff is supposed to be pretty, good looking. So anyway, so that's my mango. Another pineapple right there. So that's. Oh yeah, and one other thing that I have in here. So I have this fig. So fig is another desert plant. It's got a lot of foliage and it's doing well. The one thing about figs in Florida is that they're not nematode resistant. So in Florida we have, and I'm sure in other places as well, but we have the root knot nematode, which will bore itself into the root of a plant, tree or whatever, and it will siphon off nutrients and cause the plant to not be, healthy. So I've seen, typically when I've seen fig, they have more foliage, so maybe I just need to trim this one back. I don't know, because see how long it is. There's more of it right there, but it hasn't been productive. So, and it's mature enough to where it should be. So it may have something to do with the nematodes. So there's a gentleman out at the Heart, which belongs to Warner Southern, and I forget his name. But I saw a YouTube video. I think Pete from Green Dreams was interviewing him, and he had shown where he had grafted a fig onto a ficus tree. So figs are in the ficus tree family, and so a ficus tree is nematode resistant. So fortunately, I was at my grandma's the other day and saw that my aunt had a ficus tree, and so she let me have some cuttings off of it. So I'm starting ficus trees right now, and once I get those growing, I'll graft the fig onto that ficus, hopefully I have several ficus trees, and I can get some productive figs in the ground. So yep, that's that little, like I said, it's a fun little area. I kind of just throw whatever. It looks kind of jam-packed right now because of the Cranberry Hibiscus. So we're going to shift over here. So this is an ornamental. I forget what it's called, but it's got a sentimental value for me and my wife. It produces a very bright yellow flower in the spring, and yeah, very beautiful. as you can see, I had to tie it up. It was kind of leaning on me. But so I'll tell you what not to do when planting trees. So don't over-amend the soil with a lot of organic material. I put a lot of, I like to experiment and just try different things. I had a lot of organic material in here. It obviously breaks down. I mean, the microbiology will break that stuff down. And so what happened, this tree started sinking. So in order to keep the dirt off of the trunk, I just made a little wall out of pressure treated wood. What I'll probably end up doing is create a form and just create a concrete wall around it to protect the keep the dirt away from the trunk. So it's thriving. So I'm just gonna have to live with it. I'd hate to have to dig it up and reestablish its roots. By bringing it above. I think this is just fine. Like I said, I just got to keep the dirt off of it. And this actually is working out pretty good. But as you can see, I've got pineapples around it. So I typically throw pineapples around trees, just kind of out of the way to where I'm not going to mow over them. I'm not going to throw them out in the middle of the yard. So this right here is actually, drop your name again, Pete. Pete from Green Dreams had talked about the Turks Cap Hibiscus. So I was kind of thinking about when we moved in here cleaning this out, but I got a reason why I've ended up just keeping it in here. This is a very nice hedge, but Turks Cap Hibiscus. Actually, there's a flower right here. You can pull off the flower, and you can eat that little tip right there. So it's got a sweetness to it. And that one was pretty good. So, but I've kept this hedge in here for a reason. Because over here, so this is where I've been putting my tropical fruit. I've put tropicals in other places. But so here's the thing. So here we are in Florida. We're in it's subtropical. That means your tropicals are going to get exposed to conditions that may be unfavorable. So here in Central Florida, we can drop down to the freezing, maybe every now and then during the winter. We can also have extended periods of like 40-degree weather. And I know people up north are like saying cry me a river, but for our your tropical plants, that's an issue. So so in order to overcome that and to be able to push it to where you can have your tropicals in a subtropical zone, you plant your tropicals in a microclimate. So this right here, so I got this hedge right here. I got a fence it's got a lot of weeds back there. Like I said, I haven't done everything I want to in this yard, but there's a lot of weeds along that fence line up there. I've got a tree overstory right here. So in the winter, so this is the north right here, north side, so any northern winds are going to be blocked by this hedge and the fence. What do they call it? Radiational cooling that happens at night won't be as bad because I got a tree overstory. So it doesn't get as cool in this area. And so you might think, wow, does that really make a difference? It actually does. So I could take you up the street and I could show you mangoes that, so 2 years ago we had some freezing weather, and I could show you some mangoes that are out in the open. No overstory, no windbreaks, nothing. And they were just froze back to the stump. Now they'll grow back, the stump will still be alive. But yeah, they died all the way back to the stump and had to start all over again. That same winter where we had those cold snaps, this avocado looked like it wasn't even touched. I have a mango over there that didn't even look like it was touched. They survived just fine. The bananas, they're a little bit more finicky, but they do come back. They're more resilient. It's like the grass family. The grass recovers pretty well. So yeah. So I encourage you. You're in Zone 9B. You would definitely want to set up or look for the microclimates in your yard. You may be up against your house on the southern side to get the sun while it's in the southern sky during the winter. And then it'll have a northern windbreak. So just something to think about as you plant tropicals. Don't plant them out in the open. Well, and then there is a trade-off. So if you, obviously they're not getting as much sun. They get this evening sun. They got this evening sun's coming in just fine. But obviously they're not getting enough sun, so they're probably not going to grow as fast. But it's still, you don't. I think I'd take the trade-off of these things not dying back. So I'll take a slower growth. So right here, this right here is the is my I mentioned I had a guava. So this is a regular guava. I think it's a pink. I don't know. I don't remember its variety. Again, too much amendments in the ground, it sinks. So that this kind of sunk down a little bit. So I've learned the error of my ways. It's not going to happen anymore. But it seems to be happy, so I'm not going to really mess with it. If I have to form up something and keep the dirt off of it, I will, but it seems to be pretty happy. Again, you can see the pineapple tops down there at the bottom. I got a lot of organic material in here. Probably need to put more in here. Bananas are hungry plants, so if you want to, they like a lot of vegetation, so throw those in the ground. So here I got an ice cream banana, 2 of them. Well, actually there's 3. There's a little, what they say is you should have a grandpa, so that's the grandpa right there. The dad, so that's the dad right there, and then there's a little baby right there. So you have all 3. You have 3 generations. Other than that, you spread them apart. Now that's not the case back here with these dwarf bananas. I kind of have them all bunched together. I didn't know much about bananas when I planted those, but they say you should kind of spread them out because they're a hungry plant. And so, and I mentioned they're a hungry plant. I feed them with chicken manure, and actually right here where you see the stone, I want to keep the raccoons out of it. But we went fishing the other night, and so there's some the fish. We got some frozen fish, and we didn't use all that bait, so I just put them down on the ground. So we'll see if banana tree likes fish. So yeah, that's my ice cream bananas haven't produced yet. I'm looking forward to it because I hear they're really good. I've never had an ice cream banana. So yeah, I'm just kind of waiting on that one. Maybe next year. So these are my dwarf. These are from Lowe's. I don't even know what the true name of them are. So, but I had one produced this year, and then this is another one that produced. So it looks like it's got a good rack on there. So there you go. If you ever the first banana tree, the bananas, the weight of the bananas cause it to fall over. So if that ever happens, if they're all green, just put them aside, give them time to ripen. And it probably took them like, I don't know, maybe 1 to 2 weeks to ripen. I think it was more like 2 weeks for those green bananas to ripen. But if the tree falls, just cut that bunch off and then set them aside. So. And they will ripen, and they were really good. So yeah, and then as you can see, I've got some little pups popping out there. And what I've been doing, I've been starting to plant them. So there's some dwarf bananas right there that I've planted to kind of, like I said, I'm starting to spread them out, and I'm going to mulch this whole area. So here is another a new banana that I just bought. It has more of a pointy end to it. Dwarf Cavendish. There you go, right there. So yeah, that had several bananas in there. I was able to spread those out and actually have a new pup just popping up. So these are already multiplying for me. This right here, this avocados from seed. So again, at my previous house, I had everything in pots. So I got this from my grandma. It was in a pot, and I kept it in a pot for like 10 years, and it just kind of, it just kind of stayed the same size. It was like a bonsai tree, I guess you could say. It did freeze back all the way to the stump. You can see that curve right there. That's what happens. It freezes back, and it starts a whole new trunk. So that's why it's got that curve. That's the new trunk. But I planted it in the ground, and it seems to like it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's not a cultivated or grafted variety. Cultivar is what I guess they call it. So we'll see in a couple years if it's productive. I mean, I plan to be here, this, you know, like a permanent home. So I'm in it for the long haul. So we'll just see what happens. If it's not productive, I can always graft something onto it. So here's one of my. So I had 3 pineapples. Actually, that's a kind of a low year for pineapple production, because last year I think I had 5. So there's one right there. There's the other one. And I just picked one last night. So again, I like to put pineapples around the base of trees. So I want to go over here and show you. So I have a moringa tree. I guess they call it the miracle tree, because you can eat the leaves. The leaves have a good taste to them. And it's supposed to be like, you know, if you hear about wheatgrass juice, well, they say this has actually got more antioxidants or whatever in it, and so you can eat the seeds. You can use it as a nitrogen fixer, for those who don't know what a nitrogen fixer is. So we got nitrogen in the air. You got certain types of plants that pull it out of the air, and then when you do is you cut them, chop and drop, put it on the ground. It'll fix nitrogen into your soil. So there, you know, it's an organic way of providing nitrogen. As you can see, this area is all overgrown back here, but again, it does make a nice little microclimate having all that back here. Here is a wild citrus tree. I remember I was cleaning up this area and I was debating whether to mow over this thing. It was probably about knee high, but I decided to keep it. I have wild lemons in the back, so this may be a lemon. It could be a grapefruit. I'm not sure. I did graft a Meyer lemon to it. It's kind of just stayed that way like all summer. I think I grafted it in the spring. So we'll see if it actually takes off. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have to cut the tree back more. Somebody can throw a comment in there if I want to get that graft going. What do I need to do? So here's a must-have. This is a Japanese plum or loquat. I got this from my grandma, so it just grew from seed. It's not a grafted variety. So I'm hoping it'll be on the sweeter side. Sometimes you can get some sour ones, but my wife can cook, so you know she can just make pie out of it. So let me see here. So that's that's the loquat, Japanese plum. And then over here I have this is my mango. I think is it a Hayden? Let me see, I don't remember my varieties. So that's a Hayden. So I'm gonna I'm meaning to get some bamboo in here so I can kind of get this formed up, you know, a little bit more, because it kind of wants to grow out since the sun's coming in from the side here. But I've kind of just been letting, since it's young, I've just been letting the weeds kind of grow around it. Like I got to clear this area out, kind of make it more